Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we will be talking about India-Sri Lanka relations. Okay, so the headings under which we will be talking about it is importance of Sri Lanka, the history, areas of cooperation, areas of conflict, and specifically how India supported in the financial crisis in Sri Lanka. Okay, so these are the headings under which we will be dealing with India-Sri Lanka relations. So, first of all is importance. See, the first thing is the strategic location, the proximity to India. The first point in strategic location is the proximity to India. It's so close that it is referred as, Sri Lanka is basically referred as an aircraft docked 10 miles from Indian coast. And another point we will say is that important sea lanes of trade, they also pass through it. And it is in such a manner that approximately 90% of India's trade in goods and energy import passes through it. So that's why, see, there are various points under this one heading only, the strategic location, the proximity to India, and how is it called as an Indian aircraft docked 10 miles from Indian coast because of its proximity. Then is the important sea lanes of trade which are passing through it, and 90% of India's trade actually passes through it. So that's why Sri Lanka is having a strategic location, and because of which it is important to India. Then is the military importance, strategically important to Indian Navy, okay, because of its proximity. Then is cultural importance. Cultural importance, one is mythological, like from the time of Ramayana. Okay, so you all people must be aware about mythological story of Ramayana. So that, and the another one is Buddhism. How the Buddhism, King Ashoka sent his son and daughter to Sri Lanka for the spread of Buddhism. Okay, so this is how the cultural importance of Sri Lanka is. Then is the economic importance. India concluded its first ever free trade agreement with Sri Lanka in 1998, which actually came into force in the year of 2000. But yes, India concluded its first ever free trade agreement with the Sri Lanka in 1998. Then comes the ethnic composition. See, basically divided into three main groups. One is Sinhala people, second is Tamilians, and the other minorities. Sinhala people, they are approximately 75%. Tamilians and others, they are 25%. Among them, Tamilians account for 15% and others approximately 10%. Among this 15%, like between these 15%, there are two groups. One is Sri Lankan Tamils and the other one is Indian Tamils. See, Sri Lankan Tamils, they are approximately 11% and the Indian Tamils, they are approximately 4%. So why these Indian Tamils? Actually, they were the Britishers, like who they were taken as indentured laborers by the Britishers to Sri Lanka for working in the plantations of Sri Lanka and also for other infrastructure works. So these Indian Tamils. So this is the ethnic composition of Sri Lanka. So that's why this is the importance of Sri Lanka for India. Okay. Now see this map showing the proximity of India and Sri Lanka. This is very less actually distance which is there between India and Sri Lanka. Okay, so this is division of the Jaffna area, and this point of India, they have been separated by this Park Strait. Okay, so this region is there. This is GOM, this is basically Gulf of Mannar, and PB, it's for Park. The space was less, that's why I've written these short forms only. These are not short forms, you should not use this. Actually, I've written this just because of lack of space. This is Gulf of Mannar, this is Park Bay, and this is Park Strait. Okay, so this is India, Sri Lanka. So talking about the history, basically there are three phases when we talk about it. The first one is 1947 to 87, second one is 87 to 91, and then is 91 up till the present phase. So we will talk about these different phases, and this history will also make us aware about the ethnic crisis, which is also one of the bilateral issue which is there between India and Sri Lanka, which also we can say one of which is also kind of thinking it creates some kind of problems between India Sri Lanka relations. So let's talk about it. See, the phase 1, independence of Sri Lanka took place in the year of 1948. And in 1948, there was this Citizenship Act of 1948. And actually, this Citizenship Act, this not only disenfranchised the Tamils, but also made them stateless. Okay, so not only this thing, the Citizenship Act, then in 1956 came the official language policy, in which only Sinhalese was made as official language. Okay, so because of which various opportunity to Tamilians, be it the case of public employment, they were denied to them. Okay, and because of which the conflict was there between the Tamilians and Sinhalese people. And in the year of 1958, first major riot between Tamils and Sinhalese took place. In the 1960s, like it was the viewpoint in Sri Lanka that India should take back its 8 lakh Tamils from Sri Lanka to India. But Jawaharlal Nehru, our then Prime Minister, he was reluctant to do that because definitely it's going to set a wrong precedent. Like if we are going to take back, because other countries will also demand, various other countries like may also demand, and it is definitely going to open that Pandora of boxes, right? So that's why Jawaharlal Nehru, he was reluctant to do that. It was in the year 1971 when the Bangladesh liberation was taking place. Sri Lanka sided with Pakistan, like providing its ports for refuelment of the aircrafts or other refuelment of its vessels. So basically, it was sided with Pakistan. In the year of 1976, LTTE, Liberation of Tamil Tigers Elam. So it was founded. And in 1978, new constitution of Sri Lanka, it was made. And when this new constitution was made, Tamil was recognized as a language, a national language, but still the people of LTTE, they were not very happy with it. Okay, so and the riots, they again broke out in 1983 between the two ethnic factions. So in 1983, these broke out. In the year of 1987, now the year of 1987, Colombo under Jayavardhane, so blockade Jaffna. So there was blockading of Jaffna, this area. Let me tell you. This island, just wait for a while. This is Jaffna. So it was blockaded by Sri Lanka. So what happened was it blockaded Jaffna, and India airdropped food aid to the city under the Operation Kumalai in the violation of Sri Lankan airspace. Okay, so definitely India sent food to that area, that region of Jaffna, to that particular city under the Operation Kumalai, and definitely it is the violation of Sri Lankan airspace. As a result, India denied military solution to the ethnic crisis, and Sri Lanka was forced to sign India-Sri Lanka Accord of 1987, and this accord was signed. Okay, so Rajiv Gandhi Jayavardhane Accord of 1987, what were the provisions? First one is the external provisions. It prohibited Sri Lanka to allow foreign warship to dock in the Sri Lankan waters. Number two, it prohibited the presence of military and intelligent personnel of foreign countries in Sri Lanka. These are the external provisions. What are the domestic provisions? Provincial council system to be adopted, provincial autonomy for the Tamil majority provinces within the undivided Sri Lanka, 3-language solution was there, official recognition to the Sinhalese, Tamil and English as a link language. So basically, this is the Rajiv Gandhi Jayawardene Accord which took place in 1987. And since Sri Lanka has to implement this agreement, in order to implement this agreement, Sri Lanka had to bring about 13th Amendment to its constitution. Okay, so but the thing is, both the groups, the Sinhalese group as well as the LTTE, they both were not happy with this amendment as well. So in order, see, up now 13th amendment has to take place. In order to bring about this amendment, so what happened was, under the phase 2 started 1987 to 1991. Under the leadership of Rajiv Gandhi, India sent Indian peacekeeping forces to maintain ceasefire. Like while the government of Sri Lanka is taking steps to adopt the 13th amendment, under that time, under the leadership of Rajiv Gandhi ji, then Indian peacekeeping forces were sent to Sri Lanka. Now, what happened was that with Sri Lankan army back in barracks, LTTE launched their attacks on Indian peacekeeping forces. See, Indian peacekeeping forces, they were sent to Sri Lanka so that the rights of Tamilians can be like, they can be provided with adequate rights in Sri Lanka, right? And LTTE, which is also working for Tamilians, attacked whom? Indian peacekeeping forces. One thing is that they were unhappy with the fact that the accord was signed between the two governments only and they were not included in the accord. So at times Sri Lankan government, who already not happy with the presence of IPKF, supported LTTE with arms, and as a result more than 1100 Indian soldiers were actually killed. It was also alleged that Indian peacekeeping forces made human rights violations, killing civilians in Sri Lanka. The whole episode was a huge blunder for Indian foreign policy. Indian soldiers, so basically the same thing which I told, that Indian soldiers who were fighting the battle on the Sri Lankan soils against the Indians who were fighting for their rights. So this was actually what actually took place in the particular year of 1987. Okay, so then with the change with the change of government in India and increasing demand from Sri Lanka to remove the Indian peacekeeping forces, these peacekeeping forces were withdrawn like from Sri Lanka by the VP Singh government in 1990. In 1991, LTTE carried out the assassination of Rajiv Gandhi, the organization LTTE actually lost all its sympathy from India. The government of India, LTTE, declared LTTE as a terrorist organization in the year of 1992, and even the Tamil sentiments in India went against the militants. India adopted hands-off policy in the Sri Lankan ethnic crisis. So then afterwards, India had not directly involved itself in the ethnic crisis which is there in Sri Lanka. Okay, so 1991 up till present. So as LTTE activities increased, Sri Lankan army moved in more firmly in the region. Fourth Ilam War, which took place from the year of 2006 to 2009, Mahinda Rajapaksa, he came to power on the promise that he will end the civil war, which is there, the ethnic crisis which is there in Sri Lanka. New Delhi decided that it's not going to directly get involved in the crisis, but rather extend support in other ways, like sharing the intelligence and also providing the defense weapons to the Sri Lanka. With advances of Sri Lankan military, the leader of LTTE, Prabhakaran, committed suicide in the year of 2009. His entire family was assassinated by the Sri Lankan army. So this was what happened in the Fourth Ilam War. India's support was guaranteed on the condition, like India was supporting them, but it was guaranteed on the condition that then after the civil war will be over, then Sri Lanka would be implementing the 13th constitutional amendment. But Rajapaksa went back on his promise, and it was not actually implemented. अब present times में Ranil Wickremesinghe government had put forward its intention to resolve the ethnic problem in Sri Lanka. He had resolved that he will, he has said that he is going to resolve this problem, but till now nothing like that has happened. So the present policy, so when it comes to the present foreign policy of India with respect to Sri Lanka, so see, basically you must have observed one thing, that Sri Lanka is important for India because of its strategic location and other geostrategic importance is there for India, okay, of Sri Lanka. But another point is that Tamilians are also there, Indian Tamilians are also there in Sri Lanka, and that's why the sentiments of Indian Tamils, like the Tamils who are present in India, they are also attached with them, okay, which are those present in Sri Lanka. So on two sides we are having this issue with the, like, both these things are there and both these things are creating a kind of issue for India. So that's why India is having a basically two pronged foreign policy with respect to Sri Lanka. One is see, 2 points are there. One is the geostrategic importance of Sri Lanka, and other one is to prevent the growth of Tamil extremism and separatism, because it can have a spillover effect on India. So the two concerns, they are not always in line, and they are so complicating, and therefore they are complicating the relations between India and Sri Lanka. So the thing is that India, because of its geostrategic concerns, wants to have a good relation with the Sinhalese community, like which is present in majority in Tamil Nadu. But this isn't going to be in opposition with their Tamil minorities. And India, because of its domestic politics, is forced to take up the concern of Tamil community which is present in Sri Lanka. So basically, it's the thing that India's foreign policy is faced with this dilemma, that like which it is not able, like through which it is not able to safeguard its national interest in Sri Lanka because of its two-pronged foreign policy which is there with respect to Sri Lanka. Okay, so this is it. So this is about India's foreign policy with respect to Sri Lanka from the historical times as well, like the ethnic, and also we can include like these things in the subtopic of ethnic crisis as well. Okay, so now taking up to the other heading. So we have talked about the importance of India, importance of Sri Lanka for India. Next one, we have talked about the history, and under it we have also talked about the ethnic crisis as well. Now we are going to talk about the areas of cooperation between India and Sri Lanka. Trade, both have close trade relationship, India being one of Sri Lanka's largest trade partners and the major source of foreign direct investment. In fact, before the crisis, the financial crisis which was there in Sri Lanka, India was the second largest, like Sri Lanka was the second largest trade partner in the region of, in the region, Sri Lanka was the second largest trade partner of India. Okay. And in 2021, India and Sri Lanka had bilateral merchandise trade of $5.45 billion. Indian export have increased at an annualized rate of 7.23% over the last 5 years, like from the year of 2021. Exports have increased at an annualized rate of 6.69%. One of the largest contributors of FDI, India is one of the largest contributor of FDI in Sri Lanka. Its main imports are coffee, tea, spices, as well as other residues. Implementation of free trade agreement had been taken place in the year, like it came into force in the year of 2000. And as of February 2024, there were talks to take their trade pact forward. So this is basically with respect to the trade relations which India is having with Sri Lanka. Then as various developmental projects have also been there. Like India is one of the major developmental partners of Sri Lanka, and this partnership it's actually an important pillar of the bilateral relations between the two countries. With grants alone amounting to US$ 570 million, and overall commitment by government of India is to the tune of more than US$ 3.5 billion. Then comes the infrastructure, like किया जाते हैं Indian housing projects with the initial commitment to build 50,000 houses in the war affected areas and state workers in the plantation areas. Government of India's flagship grand project in Sri Lanka. Additional 10,000 houses would also be constructed in the plantation area. So this is about India's housing project. Then is the social services. So इसमें आ जाएंगी country wide 1990 emergency ambulance services. It's another flagship project. Dikyoa, a 150-bed Dikyoa hospital, livelihood assistance to nearly 70,000 people from fishing and farming communities in Hambantota. Supply of medical equipments to a particular hospital, 150 boats and fishing gear. So basically you can see the social services are being provided by India. So these are the various examples. You can go through them. Go through all of them, like how India is supporting, providing the social services to Sri Lanka. Then is in case of infrastructure, 11 lines of credits have been extended to Sri Lanka by Export-Import Bank of India in the last 15 years. Important sectors like railway, transport, connectivity, and there are the projects which have been included, like the supply of defense equipments, upgradation of railway line from Colombo to Matara, signaling and telecommunication system, supply of engine kits for buses, diesel locomotives, DMUs, carrier and fuel tank wagons. So these are the various projects. Actually, what the thing is, you need not remember everything. You just have to remember few things so that they can be included in the answer. I've just provided you with the points. What you need to do is remember few of them. Like from infrastructure, you have to remember 2, 3. Like from social services, remember 2, 3. From the developmental project, like Indian housing project, you can remember. Like the things which are easy for you to remember. Like now, defense and security, it's easier one, that since 2012 India has participated in Indo-Sri Lanka Defense Dialogue. This platform helped to review security and defense cooperation issues. Defense exercise, India and Sri Lanka conducted joint military Mitra Shakti. This Mitra Shakti has also been asked in 2024 prelims paper as well. Okay, so Mitra Shakti and naval exercises, SLINX. Okay. Now, multilateral cooperation, like various organizations, like both the countries are part of, be it SAARC, BIMSTEC, Indian Ocean Rim Association. They are part of various, like both are the part of various international organizations, others as well. Like these are the regional organizations, various international organizations as well. So these are United Nations, World Trade Organization, World Health Organization, IMF, World Bank. So this is about the multilateral cooperation, like how both the countries are the part of various regional as well as international organizations. Okay, so these were about the areas of cooperation. Just remember few of them. Okay, few of the examples you must remember so that they can be included in the answers. Definitely you will be having either a 10 marker or a 15 marker. Like I have already taken one lecture on what kind of questions are asked in UPSC. So I would suggest you to go to that video, and like that's basically about the analysis of the previous year questions, which were asked in both prelims as well as the mains. Okay, so just go there and just remember few points related, few examples related to areas of cooperation. Now, areas of conflict, that's more important. Ethnic crisis, China and Sri Lanka, fishermen issue. Ethnic crisis, we have already talked about, like how in the past it was, how at present as well it is unresolved. Okay, so that's about the ethnic crisis. Then is China in Sri Lanka. See people, now we will be talking about it in a greater detail, like how China is there in Sri Lanka. Now, China factor. When it comes to our neighboring countries, China is definitely something which is creating problems for us. Okay, so now the first question comes that if there is China's presence in Sri Lanka, it's definitely because of Sri Lanka's interest. Sri Lanka is permitting them to like be there. Okay, so why is Sri Lanka interested in China? So the first one is the balancing act. अब the thing is, first is balancing India. This is the first point. Sri Lanka is basically suspicious about India. And the reason behind that is India's two-pronged foreign policies. It has both, like from the perspective of international, like geostrategic importance as well as the domestic politics as well. So because of this two-pronged policy of foreign policy of India, Sri Lanka is suspicious about India. That's why in order to balance it, it is basically interested in China. Then is aid by China in infrastructure building, ports, airports. We will look into the examples that how China is present in Sri Lanka. But yes, China is providing uh, aid in case of infrastructure building, and it is such that when it comes to the bilateral debt, 43% of that is with respect to China. So this is how China is supporting Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is also interested in diplomatic and economic backing by China. See, basically, because Sri Lanka was threatened by West because of with the sanctions for the war crime which happened during the Elam War. So China's veto power can actually help. Veto power can help. Can like they can be the veto power of China can be used in UNSC resolution against Sri Lanka. Like if there will be any kind of UNSC resolution which will be against Sri Lanka, then Sri Lanka can actually ask for help from China for the use of their veto power. Okay, so that that so that the resolution of the UNSC resolution cannot be passed. Okay, so this is one way. Another now let's talk about how basically giving the evidence that how China is present in Sri Lanka. China is the largest bilateral creditor of Sri Lanka, and this can be evident from this picture, this pie chart as well, that the outstanding bilateral debt is $10.81 billion, and out of that 43% is by China only. Like China is like 43% of the debt is by China. Japan comes at 22, India at 15%, FR FR it's basically for France, SK is for South Korea, and others 13%. Okay, so this is China is the largest bilateral creditor of Sri Lanka. China's BRI is supported by Sri Lanka. In fact, it is said that Sri Lanka, it is for Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is a poster child of India, of China's debt diplomacy. ओके मतलब ये चीज बोली जाती है कि श्रीलंका जो चाइना है वो बीआरआई के थ्रू एक डेट डिप्लोमेसी का यूज कर रहा है कि जिस कंट्री के साथ वो बीआरआई में एंगेज करता है वो कंट्री जो है वो डेट रिटर्न हो जाती है एंड दैट कंट्री इज बाउंड टू support China. Basically, this is how it is said that China is working okay. This is called the debt diplomacy of China. And the example that how it can be called as basically the poster child, because the example can be the Hambantota port of Sri Lanka. It has been leased out to China for 99 years in the context of equity for debt trap. Like as an equity 99 years के लिए the Hambantota port of Sri Lanka has been leased out to China. Okay. Then is during the recent meetings, Prime Minister of Sri Lanka said that China, which is the island's biggest bilateral creditor, would assist Sri Lanka's restructuring of external debt, which is a key condition to maintain a $2.9 billion IMF bailout. So this is how Sri Lanka, this is very recent meeting which took place in March 2024 itself, that how Sri Lanka is engaging with China. And also during those particular discussions only, China pledged to develop Sri Lanka's strategic deep sea port and capital's airport. This development is seen as a crucial element in enhancing Sri Lanka's economic stability and infrastructure capabilities. The development of Colombo International Airport and Hambantota Port underlines the strategic interest China holds in Sri Lanka, positioned along the vital maritime routes in Indian Ocean. So these are the various examples of China's presence in Sri Lanka. Okay, so now Why is India concerned with it? See, basically the impact on India is basically the security concerns. It's important to understand that the Indian Ocean region, this particular region is India's sphere of influence. It's India's backyard. Okay, so that's why we can say that there are various, because of the proximity of Sri Lanka to India, there are various security concerns which are associated with it. Okay, so that's why India it's having like it is negatively impacting India. India is having those security concerns. How is India dealing with it? So basically, when it comes to dealing with it, you can easily understand this thing. I have told you about the areas of cooperation. Okay, the similar things you have to write here, that how India is engaging with Sri Lanka, how India is basically engaging with Sri Lanka in order to balance out the impact of China in Sri Lanka. Infrastructure building, social services, balancing the Chinese hard power through India soft power. Okay, so these are how you can carry out those, you can write about those points which I have told you about in the India's areas of cooperation. You can give the examples here under these heading: infrastructure building, social services. These are the points. इसके अंडर जो एग्जाम्पल्स हैं वो हम वहीं से जो हमने पहले एरियाज ऑफ कॉपरेशन में लिखे थे वही लिख लेंगे. देन इज बैलेंसिंग चाइनाज हार्ड पावर थ्रू इंडिया सॉफ्ट पावर. तो यहाँ पर हम बुद्धिज्म का एग्जाम्पल भी लिख सकते हैं. ओके, सो अब है इंडिया इज ट्राइंग टू डील विद इट, बट is India able to do that? But the thing is that still, despite India reaching out to Sri Lanka, the ground reality that it is affected by the following facts. One is that China is a P5 country having the veto power, but India is not. China's relation with Sri Lanka, they are not complicated. India-Sri Lanka relations are definitely complicated. India is in a dilemma because of the two things, like two from foreign policy which actually India follows with respect to Sri Lanka. I've told you about it. That's why India's relations are complicated, but China's doesn't have any complicated relations with Sri Lanka. Okay, so despite of this fact that India is trying to reach out to Sri Lanka, but it's not, but still the problems are there. So what can be the way forward? So actually the way forward in this case can be that India should impress its Western allies that yes, it's having some genuine security concerns, security interests which are there with respect to Sri Lanka. And they should acknowledge that South Asia region and also the Indian Ocean region, these are India's sphere of influence. And therefore, they should not take any such steps which is going to sideline India and create any scope for China's going influence in, like they should not do anything which can sideline India and grow China's influence in the Colombo. Okay, so this is which can be done. Or another thing can be that India can communicate its red lines to Sri Lanka. Okay, and say that like how India, because this is important point, we have written this line even in the case of India-Bangladesh relations, and the same thing which is to be written in India-Sri Lanka as well, that India need to communicate the red lines. India need to tell about it. Like Sri Lanka is very well aware about the security concerns which India is having, and the same things like it should be like Sri Lanka should be doing like follow a neutral foreign policy. Although Sri Lanka has said that it is following the neutral foreign policy, but when it comes to ground reality, it doesn't seem so, because you must have read in the news in the past as well. Like in 2022, there was that ship which Chinese a ship was there, which actually docked on the Hambantota port, I guess. So that was, and in the year of 2023 as well, there was a Chinese ship which was spotted in Sri Lanka as well. So basically, the thing is, Sri Lanka should also like adopt we can say neutral foreign policy and should keep the India's interest in mind. Okay, so this is all about it. So this is all about like India Sri Lanka relations, like about China's impact on India, China's influence in Sri Lanka. Now the thing is about the fishermen issue, and about the another point, that is the how India supported Sri Lanka in case of how India supported Sri Lanka in case of its financial crisis. We will be talking about it in the next class itself. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you very much. And if you have any kind of doubt, you can ask in the comment section. That's all for today. Thank you very much. Stay happy, stay healthy, and take care of yourself.